Welcome to the New Yorker Festival. I'm Judith Thurman, a staff writer at the magazine. The woman in those very large stone shoes is my guest this afternoon, Marina Abramović. Marina likes to call herself the grandmother of performance art. She's a pioneer and a master in both senses of the word, which is to say, a great practitioner and a great teacher. And your career has sort of spanned the feminist half millennium, and you're one of the leading artists in the world, but you're also one of the leading women artists in the world. And I wanted to talk about your notion of femininity, the conflict, if there is one, or the strain between being a woman and being an artist.
Oh God, I always say I'm not feminist. This is number one. So this is my statement. Yes, I'm woman. Yes, I'm female. But I'm an artist. I'm not female artist, I'm an artist. And I really, for me, it's very important to stress that for me, the artist doesn't have gender. There's no gender, there's no male or female. There is no, the American, African, or lesbian, or gay. It's such a simple thing with art. There is a good art and bad art, and it doesn't matter who is making it. Mm-hmm. But why there's much less women artists than the men? I really believe, and maybe America is going to kill me for that, but I really believe that a woman actually doesn't want to sacrifice as much as a man. Because women want to have everything. They want to have family and love and children and art. And the bad news, you can't.
You can't have it all.
You can't. And the man didn't give a birth, so he's in much easier position. And there is also this good old story that, how many men, they're making this great invention, architects, filmmakers, writers, artists in the middle of the night, and they're still in the studio, and the women go and give them a cup of warm soup. How many women get warm soup? Nobody.
No.
So anyway, I make my own soup.
We've talked about the notion of transcendence. Can we talk about the place of pain?
I actually stage painful experiences in the front of audience in a particular space and fixed time. And I create this energy dialogue, which actually I'm going through the painful experience in the front of public, using the energy of the public. So I need the public, because public and the performer actually are the one, they become one body. Mm. So if I can do that, the public can project on me like a mirror. If I can go through the painful experience and transcend that pain, they can do themselves too in their own life. So I become example. Mm-hmm. But you see, all indigent cultures, they have these very heavy ceremonies that's full of the sacrifice, and the Aborigines that go even through the state of the literally clinical dead in some of the making of the high degree of medicine man. And it's really, pain is like a secret door that you have to pass in order to transcend your consciousness. And once you understand pain, you actually don't have fear of pain anymore. It's a wonderful statement of Maria Callas, which I always liked. She said when she performed, what is very important for her, that one side of the brain is in complete control, and the other side of the brain is loose and free. And if you're performing and you can make the balance between these two sides, then really performance is special.
So it's not right. What seems like a solo performance is actually communion. It's about merging.
It's community. And, for me, it was very important that was really big actually change in my career when I stopped seeing the public as a group and I see them rather as individuals. So the experience is one-to-one. That changed everything. Mm. So the American scientist and the Sackler Foundation, a neurologist, and also the Russians, they got really interested in my brain. So we started experimenting for 1 year, putting these AG caps on measuring the brain waves. Yeah. And actually, when you sit with a total stranger and you never speak one word with the person, or you never saw him in his life, the brain functions so intensely. There is so many information, subconscious level, going between the two brains. This side is my brain, this is of the total stranger. So we can visualize that, and now we are actually analyzing this information, what is going on. And which is so interesting that actually you're receiving something which I can call like universal knowledge. It looks so spooky, but is something which is outside of yourself. You're a kind of receiver and sender in the same time.
So have they been, the scientific papers, have they been published yet? Have they come to conclusions about what actually happened?
Then also they invite me in Moscow to symposium, and we are still thinking about more experiments. Because in a way, I don't know, but they told me that I have kind of special brain.
Yes.
They told me that my waves, the brain waves, are longer and more intense, that I actually have ability to actually project in the observer the certain energy myself. I always try to push borders and limits of the body as far as I can, but not killing. And I only had one accident, but let's not talk about that. But this one was really simple, 76 objects on the table, which the some for pain, some for pleasure, and then the pistol with the bullet, and the little statement standing say, I'm an object, you can do anything you want with me. I take full responsibility for 6 hours. But what is interesting, what happened, in the beginning it was very simple place. They'll give me rose, or they will give me a kiss, or, things like that. And then they started after, because 6 hours is a long time, and you need to liberate somehow yourself and become very, familiar with space and me without any reaction. And then they cut my clothes and then take the pins of rose, they put my body. I still have a scarf cutting me and, drinking my blood, carry me around. All projections was projection of the 3 absolutely basic prototypes of Italians: Madonna, Mother, and the whore. 3 things. I was not raped just because there was their wives there, but they would carry me around, they put me on the table and open my legs and stuff the knife between. It was really, really hard. And then somebody took the pistol, put the bullet, and give me the pistol, and seeing if I will, and open the target to see if I will really, if they push my hand, I would do it. And I was doing it, and then he freaked out, and then they stopped, and then. Stop. But the moment after 6 hours was finished, the gallerists have to come and tell me 6 hours is finished. I was like full of blood and sweat and half naked. I was in a mess. And that was the first time that I was me again. And I started walking towards public, and they literally ran away, all of them. And I came to the hotel, and I look in the mirror, and I have just a piece of gray hair. I knew public can kill me. In the early 70s, my performances was 1 hour, 3 hours. I mean, there was 17 hours. And then I have plenty of time to recover and do next one. But when I started doing long duration performance art, changed everything. My entire life changed. I understood the importance of long duration performance, because performance artists need time to get to the certain state of mind, but the public need the same kind of time to actually get into their own state of mind, that they can meet somewhere in the middle. If you just take a door of your own house and you open the door, but you don't exit, you open the door, but you don't enter. You just keep opening and closing this door for 15 minutes, 20. If you go to 3 hours, the door is not the door anymore. The door transcends into something completely different. When you are doing something long durational, and what is happening, you come to this first to the state of boredom. And when you open the door of boredom, which always John Cage talk about, opening the boredom line, then something else is happening. Because what you realize that the time is only measured, if you talk about past, you measure the time. If you talk about the future, you think about the time. But we are really in present, then time don't exist. Performance is time-based art. Performance is a material form of art. And you have to be at the place when it's happening. Everything else is documentation, which is the second category. It's not art. The video or film or dead photographs in a book, that's not what is performance. Performance is life experience. And even if the person re-performing, even if you bring his own charisma, even if you change the concept, I prefer to have it, seeing it live, than have not. And this is, now which I open this whole idea of re-performance. So in the MoMA show, my piece has been re-performed. And this is the huge criticism, because the artists, my generation felt that they don't want it to be re-performed. This is their work and that's it. But I think that's selfish. I think that's not right. I think that you should go away from ego and let this work live without you, like let children grow. And this was my attitude still now. That entire New York City is built on granite, which is very dense and the most strongest stone there is. So the energy is never absorbing, it's bouncing back. And look the mess we are. I mean, It's bouncing. It's not clay. It's not something absorbing. It's actually bouncing all the time. And it's incredible nervous energy. It's good, bad, everything together. But once Susan Sontag, I was very lucky to be a friend of her last 4 years of her death. She said to me, once you live in New York, you can't live anywhere else. And she's pretty right.